I, this year, have been very lucky and very blessed to have mostly picked up good books. Books that I've really enjoyed. These are books that I need to talk about. They have been either 5-star reads for me or books that have never left like the precipice of my brain. And especially this year when a lot of other books that I've picked up, specifically like very big books, have been duds. And I will talk about a lot of disappointments. If that's what anyone wants to see, that would be a very fun one. It might get a little rough. This video will contain potential spoilers or could have content warnings or trigger warnings. I especially have been picking up unknowingly a lot of books about grief, and if anybody knows anything about me, I did lose my father last year, and so it's been an interesting ride, to say the least. We're gonna start off with a book that a book that I don't think was intended to like be very deep. However, once again, big old crier over here, it was. That is Raiders of the Lost Heart by Jo Segura. I actually got to meet her a few weekends back at Powell's Romance Bookstore Day, and it was so awesome to talk to her, and I'm really excited for the second one. I got denied for the ARC, but don't you worry, I slid into Berkeley's emails and I was like, please give this girl this ARC, because book 2 looks super cute. This is about Corey and Ford. Corey and Ford are both archaeologists. Corey is specifically on a quest to find the Chamali, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which she believes to be ancestors of her and her family. And they are in the forest, and Ford have gone back. They are pretty much like rivals at this point because Ford stole this job out from under her, and she didn't know till it was too late, till he said, hey, I need your help, I can't find Chamali, can you come help me? These two have a past. That past is heavy, intense flirting and a kiss in a library. Almost kissed, excuse me. And these two have to now work together to find the Chamali, because we find out that this is a huge deal for Ford, and basically the money from this dig is riding on him getting his mother treatment for cancer. Along the way we have bumps, lumps, funnies, and giggles. I think that the parental connection that these two had, knowing that she had already lost a parent and that he was in the process of losing a parent, really kind of cemented a really solid bond. And I think that if you want a fun, easy read, but that also isn't like, it also has some density to it, I highly recommend this. And it's written by just the sweetest, funniest author I think I've ever met, and I just will never get over it. And she says, be a badass. And you know what, Jo? Yes. Next on the list was an unexpected surprise. I don't remember why I even picked this book up, but I think it's because I was like all of a sudden in my small town cowboy romance era, and I was like, this is up my alley. In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This is thick. This is long, but it's worth it. This is a second chance romance about two high school friends who definitely someone had a little bit of unrequited love on his end, and they and they have to work together to save her step grandmother's dead farm, because she left it to her, and it's a little out of whack, but it's a little weird. This is all after she just got left at the altar by her terrible fiance. And in it are amazing Noah, which is the farmer of all of our dreams, has custody of his, I think she's like 8 or 9, of his niece who has severe ADHD, and I felt for that girl. And it's a learning curve for him, learning how to be a parent, and also be a parent to a neurodivergent kiddo who struggles to make friends, keep friends, to focus in school, to work through the traumas of the fact that her mom is incarcerated. This is fun, this is sweet, this is cute. He says things like, tell the bartender that you're married. Because that's what they gonna do, they gonna get married. They get married for marriage and convenience. You say, tell that bartender that you're married. And I was like, sold. Cute, funny, sweet. You might cry. I cried. What do you expect? 10 out of 10 recommend this though. It sits in my brain constantly and all I want to do is think about it and reread it. This was another unexpected. Love and Chickens, and it's by Casey Morris. And I got the ARC for this because I signed up for, I think I saw it on TikTok or something. I got the ARC and I remember reading through it, and it was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be, because it's promoted. So essentially she is a chicken shower. She shows and breeds chickens, specifically like bantams, like a specific type of bantam. And she has a tragic accident where there is a drunk driver and some of her chickens died. Her beloved chickens die, and she is also injured in the process and ends up with a limp. So we get an awesome disability representation, and she has a cane and she talks a lot about it, and it's done in a really beautiful way. There's a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, a lot of mental health stuff in this, a lot of heavier topics that I didn't expect, and the author was absolutely a gem when I came to her and I said, hey, you need to have a trigger warning for some of this stuff, because I was not expecting some of it and it really was hard. And she absolutely came back and she was like, I understand. It was a great conversation, and I am a forever reader now because of this. But the MMC is all very Pride and Prejudice too, by the way. If you love Pride and Prejudice, you won't like this, because a lot of the names, it's trust me, just trust me, okay? He is a chicken show judge and has been for a long time. He used to breed and show them himself, and he comes from a very long line of chicken show judges. Anyways, there is a coup that occurs and they have to work together even though they don't like each other, because he was kind of a dick about her chicken the night that the chicken died, right after a show, and so in the tragic car accident. And so it's rough, but they have to work together to kind of fix this coup, because there is a rigged situation happening within the chicken shows, and we ain't gonna let that happen, okay? And if you like Pride and Prejudice, you will love this. And I think about this book constantly. And every time I see a chicken, I'm like, I love it. And she's so knowledgeable on chicken stuff in here. The bird stuff threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, this has to be brought in. This is the indie version. I'm very lucky that I have this. But now she is obviously traditionally published. But this is the sweetest, cutest, most precious angel baby ever. This is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. And if you've never read this, you are missing out. Okay, so Callum he is a funeral director, and he owns a mortuary business, and he has a stutter, and he is a demisexual, and I love that. And then Lark is a character artist from Texas who recently lost her husband. And these two make an incredible pair of friends. I need to reread this again. I just finished the ARC that I got for the traditionally published, and I was like, I need to read it again. And these two become a really good pair of friends, and they work off each other, and they try to set each other up with people, and she wants to help bring him out of his shell, and he wants to come out of his shell because he really likes her. And it's just so precious, it's so sweet, it's so cute, and there's a lot of really strong personalities, and she is one of the most amazing, strong FMCs that I've read in a long time. And if you have anything bad to say about this, get off my channel right now and shut your mouth. Your words don't exist to me. I'm sorry. Me In, and the second one is Wrote Me In, and I'm pretty sure I have them. Anyways, this is my first jump into the cowboy romances. This is about Blake and Gavin, and they have been part of this small town for a very long time. Both of their families own ranches, and she, you know, is a barrel racer. He's a ranch hand and also like runs this line dance club. And she loses her brother, who also happens to be an old friend of his, and she can't get back on the horse because it happened in a horse accident and a riding accident, and it's very tragic and it's very hard for everyone involved. And he also at the same time loses his father. So there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of PTSD, there's a lot of learning to be comfortable with each other and love each other and accept love and accept help. And he is now in the process of losing his farm and trying to keep it from everybody, his family included. So there's a lot of that happening, and it's just delicious. And then book 2 is somewhere in my vicinity. I am 100% certain I have book 2. I don't know why I wouldn't. I'm on the art team. And it's just as good. But this one. This is the one. Okay. This was an arc that I accidentally signed up for, but it was unexpected. And once again, I'm in my grief era, apparently. So she loses her brother, and in a tragic situation, and in the process, you know, she has to step up because her family starts eroding. Essentially, her parents are unable to do anything, and in walks Vince Mancini, who happens to be her brother's best friend from high school and the next generation of the owner for the funeral director for the funeral home that's going to take over. So he's now a funeral director. And in my grief, I wish I had had a Vince Mancini. There's something so palpable and raw and just beautiful about the way that Vince can be a person for her and for her grief and be there for her and almost be a sounding board. And just the relationship itself is so unique, and it's beautiful, and it's hearty, and it's heartfelt, and it's painful to witness the grief of all of these people in this book. But it is so worth it and so beautiful. And the romance is amazing, because I know when I was in my thick of grief, I could have never thought about dating, and neither could she. Like, it's very hard for her, and it's hard when you're falling in love while you're grieving, and there's a fight inside of you that's like, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be grieving. And instead there's a man who is helping you, and you're feeling guilty because you're now having sex, and it's just, this was so unique for me, and it put me on a spiral after this of grief books, because that's when I ended up picking this one, and it just kept coming. And I really recommend this, like highly recommend. Now, last but not least, I have become Naomi Loud's biggest fan. I haven't read her first few books because I'm nervous too. I hear they're like a little heavier, and I haven't, but I am on her art team, and I'm very lucky. And so, first book that came along that lives permanently in my brain is On the Line. And if you know, you know. This is a line cook server romance, and it's, oh my god. Like, so she grew up in like high society. She was, you know, in college, and she wanted to change her major, and then when her dad found out, he disowned her, and he's like, goodbye, get the out, like, goodbye. So she ends up becoming a server at this restaurant, and in the process we learn that she has a really shitty relationship with a really shitty boyfriend who, we find out that he and a friend actually essayed her, and so it's a little rough. There's a little bit of a roughness. So there are some heavy trigger warnings, there are some darker themes that happen in this book, and so just be very cognizant of that. And then you have Ozzy. Ozzy is that typical, if you've ever worked in a restaurant or you know restaurant stuff, like that typical line cook who is flirty, and he's wild, and he's different, and he's unique. And Ozzy comes in and like a wrecking ball tries to just be a part of her life. And James, our FMC, is very like into it. And after this book, I will never think about a Snickers in any other way. The spice in this book, it may not be the most outrageous, wild, like 7 dudes, no, but it is good. And when I say good, I mean it's good because we have consent, we have conversation, we have fun kinks, we have different things, we have different ways. Okay, we have a very great and very powerful scene where she asks him to do something that is a way for her to take back her power and her sexuality after being assaulted. And it is chef's kiss, no pun intended. You're gonna love this. So then I was like, Naomi, you can't do it any better. And then she did. And then she fucking did. And then when I got the arc for A Danse Macabre, I think about this book constantly. I want to cry. Why are my eyes watering? Mercy and Wolfgang are and Gomez Addams. They are dark and spooky and creepy and not even morally gray. They are black, morally black. Like they are black. They are true villains who actually genuinely want to kill each other. Like none of this like, oh my god, I'm gonna hold a knife to, like no. They try to kill each other. They actually hate each other. Like this is, when anyone ever tells me like enemies to lovers, if it is not on this level, who pretty much stay enemies even when they become lovers, okay? And even try to kill each other after, it's not an enemies to lovers. This is the blueprint, okay? This is the blueprint for that. There is a scene that lives in my head rent-free where some guy in like a public execution thing, and she is getting wetter than a water slide, and he comes over, and as other people are being killed, her skittle, and I think about that constantly. The hate that these two have for each other. There's a glory hole. That was fun. I just know she's like impeccable. She's impeccably stylish. She has this like unique hat that she wears in like the black, and it's just, she is the goddess of death, and he is like the god of vanity, of like glory, like vainglory, and I can't wait. And the cast of characters in this is fantastic, and I think the next book is going to be Gemini, and Gemini is a gem. Love. I cannot talk about this more. Like it's just, anyways, they have to essentially go through this thing where every generation will be picked from these like houses, because they're all like from, let me see if there's like a picture of it. There's all like these houses essentially, and every year, every generation, a new house is picked to rule this like dark, decrepit town they live in. And Mercy, being the absolute badass that she is, says no, it's me, even though someone else gets picked, and then the gods punish her and make her and Wolfgang have to roll together. Her greatest enemy have to work together. The glory hole scene, I think about it constantly. It will never escape my brain. Never. But that are the 5-star reads that cannot and will not escape the deep depths of my brain. And I really hope that you guys read them or have read them. If not, let me know what your 5-star reads were for this year, and books that you cannot stop thinking about, that live literally rent-free inside of your cranium. Love you all.